Ladies and gentlemen, in a world full of ghosting, mixed signals, and emotional games, let me give you a message that's clear, direct, and empowering. No begging, no chasing, no obsessive texting, no mind games. Just do this and watch everything change. When you stop begging, chasing, texting first all the time, or playing games, what you're really doing is reclaiming your self-worth. And that starts with knowing your value truly and deeply. Most people think they know what they deserve, but their actions tell another story, because if you really believed you were enough, you wouldn't be trying to convince someone else of it. You wouldn't be overextending, over-texting, over-apologizing, or waiting around for someone to realize what they have in you. When you know your worth, you move differently. You don't tolerate being a placeholder. You don't entertain inconsistency. You don't chase someone who makes you feel like a burden. You stop trying to prove yourself because you already understand that you are complete on your own. Think about it. How many times have you given someone multiple chances to treat you better, hoping they'll finally change or see you differently? That's not love. That's not connection. And it happens when you place someone else's attention above your own self-respect, when you put them on a pedestal and forget that you're worthy of love, consistency, honesty, and real effort. You stop acting like the prize and start treating someone else like they're doing you a favor just by showing up. But the truth is, real connections don't come from chasing or pleasing. They come from alignment, from shared energy, and from mutual respect. And that can only happen when you lead with confidence, not desperation. Knowing your worth means setting boundaries that protect your peace. It means not replying to that 2 a.m. you up text when all they ever offer you is crumbs. It means walking away from lukewarm situations without looking back. It means not waiting by your phone for someone to text you because you've got a life full of purpose, passion, and self-love that keeps you moving forward. When you know your value, you don't just say you want better, you actually refuse to settle for less. You stop participating in situations that drain you. You stop apologizing for wanting clarity, consistency, and commitment. You begin to filter your life in a way that only allows in what truly aligns with your standards. And let's be honest, it's not always easy. Sometimes you'll feel tempted to go back, to text first, to explain yourself one more time. You'll miss the comfort, the familiarity, even the chaos. But just because something feels familiar doesn't mean it's right for you. Just because someone comes back doesn't mean they've changed. That's where self-worth becomes your compass. When you know what you bring to the table, you're not afraid to eat alone. You're not afraid of space, silence, or walking away because you're anchored in something stronger than temporary validation. You're anchored in truth. Knowing your worth also means you don't base your value on someone else's opinion of you. Not the person who left, not the one who's inconsistent, not the one who couldn't love you properly. Your worth doesn't shrink because someone else couldn't recognize it. Their inability to love you isn't proof that they weren't ready, weren't capable, or weren't right. And that's okay, because you don't need everyone to choose you. You just need to choose yourself over and over again, every single time. There's a quiet kind of power in self-respect. It's not loud. It doesn't beg, and it doesn't chase. It walks away when energy shifts. It doesn't argue with confusion. It doesn't explain to those who are committed to misunderstanding, and it certainly doesn't lower its standards to accommodate someone else's indecision. Self-worth gives you the strength to stop negotiating with potential. It allows you to stop hoping someone will become who you want them to be. Instead, you start to accept people for who they show you they are, and then decide whether or not that aligns with your life. This shift in mindset, this deep belief in your worth, is what creates real transformation. It's what allows you to stop chasing love and start attracting it. Because when you're rooted in your value, your energy changes. You stop needing someone else to validate your existence. You're not desperate for someone to like you, call you, or choose you. You're not trying to be chosen. You already chose yourself. And from that place, you naturally attract people who mirror your energy, who value your presence, and who are ready for the kind of connection you're worthy of. So if there's one thing to take away, it's this. You are not too much. You are not too hard to love. You are not asking for too much by expecting effort, honesty, or consistency. You are not wrong for wanting more. You're just finally realizing that you deserve it and that you don't have to beg, chase, or play games to get it. All you have to do is know your worth and never settle for less again. Protecting your energy is not just a catchy phrase. It's a life skill, a boundary, and a mindset. In today's world where emotional chaos often disguises itself as passion and where inconsistency is romanticized, protecting your energy becomes your survival. It's the difference between peace and emotional exhaustion. You see, when you allow anyone and everyone access to your time, your mind, your heart, you start leaking power. You start giving away parts of yourself to people who haven't earned it, people who only show up when it's convenient, and people who take more than they give. That's when you begin to feel drained, anxious, confused, and disconnected from yourself. Not because there's something wrong with you, but because you've been letting your energy be controlled by situations that are not meant for you. Think about how much emotional space you give to people who are inconsistent with you. How often do you find yourself checking your phone, rereading old messages, overthinking every word you sent? That mental noise. It's the result of allowing someone else's lack of clarity to occupy your energy. When you don't protect your space, you absorb whatever energy people throw at you. And let's be real, some people thrive on confusion. Some people come into your life not to build with you, but to distract you from building with yourself. They crave attention, not connection. They love the chase, not the relationship. And if you're not careful, you'll end up caught in a cycle where your emotions are constantly reacting to their behavior. Protecting your energy means refusing to let people play tug of war with your emotions. It means recognizing that your peace is more valuable than someone else's temporary presence. You don't need to be available to everyone. You don't need to explain yourself to people who are not even trying to understand you. Your energy is sacred. Not everyone deserves access to it. Not everyone is qualified to be close to you. Not everyone should be allowed to pull you into their storm when you've spent so long trying to find your calm. When you protect your energy, you also stop taking things so personally. You begin to realize that how someone treats you says more about them than it does about you. Their mood swings, hot and cold behavior, disappearing acts. It's not your fault. You don't need to chase after clarity from someone who's inconsistent. You don't need to beg someone to act right. You don't need to teach someone how to treat you like a priority. When you hold your energy close, you begin to respond from awareness instead of reacting from emotion. You stop giving power to people who don't know what to do with it. And here's the truth. Your energy attracts what you allow. If you keep showing people that they can come and go as they please, they will. If you keep entertaining mixed signals, they'll never be clear. But the moment you pull your energy back, the moment you decide to invest it in yourself instead of in confusion, you shift the entire dynamic. People either rise up to meet your energy or they fade away. And either way you win because you're no longer being drained by the uncertainty. You're no longer living in emotional limbo. You're grounded in your own peace. This doesn't mean shutting people out or becoming cold. It means being intentional. It means being selective. It means asking yourself, does this person bring calm or chaos into my life? Do I feel empowered or depleted after talking to them? Are they pouring into me or constantly taking from me? Protecting your energy is about creating emotional balance. It's about being in tune with how things and people make you feel and being bold enough to walk away when something doesn't align with your well-being. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Some people were only meant to be background characters, but you've been handing them the microphone. You've been letting them narrate your story. It's time to take it back because when you protect your energy, you stop being manipulated by people's inconsistency. You stop being drained by situations that aren't feeding your soul. You start living with clarity, intention, and self-respect. And you'll notice something amazing happens when you start doing this. You'll feel lighter, more focused, more in control. Your anxiety starts to fade, your confidence grows, and you begin to attract relationships that feel easy, secure, and mutual. You'll start to recognize what real peace feels like, and you'll refuse to give it up for anything less. So, protect your energy the way you protect your home. Not everyone gets to come in. Not everyone gets to stay. Some people only come to disturb your peace, and it's not your job to fix them. Your only job is to protect yourself, honor your growth, and create a space where your soul can breathe. Because once you start doing that, you'll never again chase after anything that costs you your peace. When we talk about matching effort instead of emotions, we're talking about moving beyond the idea that love, affection, or friendship should be a one-sided pursuit. We're conditioned by society, movies, and even social media to believe that real connections are born out of grand gestures, impromptu romantic acts, or emotional outbursts. But in reality, lasting relationships, whether romantic or platonic, are built on the consistency of effort, not the intensity of emotion. Emotions are fleeting. Effort is what lasts. In relationships, especially those where we feel an emotional pull or a strong connection, it's easy to mistake someone's words for actions or their promises for proof of commitment. But words without actions are just empty promises. Think about all the times someone told you they cared, but their actions didn't reflect that sentiment. Maybe they disappeared when you needed them, or they didn't keep their word. The gap between what they say and what they do is where disappointment lives. That's why matching effort, not emotions, is crucial. Actions speak louder than words, and they always will. Matching effort is about reciprocity, about both people showing up and putting in the same amount of energy. Relationships thrive when there's balance. An imbalance is often the root of frustration and confusion. It's easy to get caught up in emotions, especially early on in a relationship where everything feels intense and exciting. But emotions can be misleading. They can make you feel like someone is your soulmate when in reality, they may not be putting in the same effort as you. When you're emotionally invested in someone, it's tempting to ignore the warning signs of imbalance. You convince yourself that their lack of effort is just a phase or that they're going through something. While understanding and patience are important in any relationship, they should not be used as excuses for neglect or inconsistency. Matching effort also means not over-investing when the other person is barely putting in any effort at all. It's easy to get swept up in the fantasy of a relationship and start investing emotionally, mentally, and physically into something that isn't being reciprocated. When you do this, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Love and connection aren't meant to be earned through constant giving, hoping the other person will catch up. If you find yourself always initiating texts, making plans, or reaching out, but never getting the same energy back, then you need to pause and reassess. If someone truly values you, they will put in the effort. It won't always be perfect, but it will be consistent. You shouldn't be the only one putting in the effort to maintain the relationship. Realizing the importance of matching effort doesn't mean playing games. It doesn't mean keeping score or keeping tabs on who texted first or who planned the last date. It simply means ensuring that the energy you put into a relationship is reciprocated. It's about clarity and mutual respect. You're not looking for someone to compete with, you're looking for someone who aligns with you. Relationships are a two-way street, and if one person is constantly giving and the other is constantly receiving, the road is bound to run out. Another important aspect of matching effort is knowing when to pull back. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that if you try harder, things will improve. But sometimes trying harder only exhausts you. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to take a step back and see if the other person steps forward. If they don't, that's a clear sign of where they stand. And that's when you have to ask yourself, why should I be the only one to keep this going? If they're not willing to meet me halfway, then I'm not going to keep walking alone. You have to remember that you are not responsible for anyone else's feelings or actions. You can't control how much someone loves you, cares for you, or wants to be involved in your life. What you can control is how much you give and how much you expect in return. Matching effort means setting boundaries, knowing your worth, and understanding that you deserve a relationship where both parties are equally invested. If someone can't match your effort, they're not ready for the kind of connection you deserve. And that's not a reflection on you. It's a reflection of where they are in their own life. The beautiful thing about matching effort is that it creates a healthy dynamic. Both people feel seen, valued, and respected. Both people invest emotionally, which builds trust and deepens the bond. It's not about perfection, but about consistency. Relationships where effort is matched are not filled with emotional roller coasters, anxiety, or confusion. Instead, they're grounded in mutual respect and understanding. Both people show up for each other even on days when they're tired or stressed. And when things get tough, the effort doesn't fade away. It's at that moment when you know you have someone who will walk beside you, not in front of you or behind you. Matching effort isn't just about romantic relationships either. It applies to friendships, family dynamics, and work relationships. No matter who you're dealing with, everyone deserves to give and receive the same level of effort. If a friend constantly cancels plans or a colleague never takes responsibility for their part, it's not about being passive or simply tolerating it. It's about setting a standard for how you deserve to be treated and matching that effort with the right people. At the end of the day, matching effort is about respecting your time, your energy, and your emotions. It's about recognizing that you deserve the same level of commitment that you give. And when you start expecting that from others, you begin to see how relationships transform. No more playing games, no more waiting for people to change, no more wondering if they care. Effort speaks louder than words, and when both people are equally invested, the connection becomes effortless. When we talk about not chasing people, we're diving into a crucial aspect of self-respect and emotional stability. In relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or even professional, the idea of chasing often comes with an imbalance of power. Chasing someone, whether through endless texts, calls, or attempting to gain their attention, puts you in a position where you are trying to convince someone of your worth rather than letting your actions speak for themselves. It creates an environment where you are constantly seeking validation from the other person, losing sight of the fact that your value isn't contingent on someone else's perception of you. Chasing often stems from an internal insecurity. It's the belief that if you don't do enough, if you don't try hard enough, you will lose the person and they'll slip away. This is particularly true in romantic relationships where people fear rejection and invest so much energy into winning over another person. The idea of chasing comes from an unhealthy attachment to the outcome. Your mind fixates on the person's approval as if it's the only thing that can define your worth. But here's the reality. No amount of chasing will ever create genuine connection or mutual respect. If someone is truly meant to be in your life, they won't need to be chased. They'll meet you halfway, investing in you with their own energy, time, and care. When you're constantly chasing someone, you begin to lose yourself in the process. The time and emotional energy you invest in this pursuit could be used to nurture your own passions, personal growth, and self-care. Instead, it gets poured into someone who may not reciprocate your efforts. The more you chase, the more you lose sight of who you are and what you deserve. The relationship becomes about what you need from the other person instead of the balance of what you both need from each other. Chasing often results in an unhealthy dynamic where one person is always in the lead while the other is left running after them. This sets the stage for an unequal relationship where you constantly feel unappreciated and your needs go unmet. Let's consider what happens when you stop chasing. The first thing that shifts is your energy. No longer are you in the emotional tug of war trying to get someone to notice you, but rather you focus on your own life. This shift in focus allows you to reclaim your energy and put it into pursuits that are meaningful and fulfilling to you. You begin to recognize that you are whole on your own. You don't need someone's approval or constant validation to feel worthy. Your value comes from within, not from how much someone else is willing to give you. When you stop chasing, you also create space for healthy relationships to form. Relationships that are built on mutual respect and effort are the ones that thrive. When you stop chasing after someone, you allow them the space to chase you if they genuinely desire to. You don't need to force connection. You simply allow it to happen naturally. This shift in mindset is powerful because it removes the desperation and instead places you in a position of confidence and patience. You begin to trust that the right people will gravitate towards you and that those who don't appreciate your worth will naturally fall away. Additionally, stopping the chase allows you to let go of emotional baggage. The energy that was once spent on trying to change someone, waiting for them to come around, or obsessing over when they'll text back is now freed up. You start to realize that your happiness doesn't rely on someone else's behavior. The constant need for external validation begins to fade as you build a stronger sense of self-worth from within. You become more secure in who you are and less reliant on others to fill that void. Instead of feeling drained by the pursuit of someone who isn't fully engaged with you, you feel empowered to move forward with your life, knowing that your value isn't dependent on their approval. This also applies to setting boundaries. Chasing someone often means you tolerate behavior that you normally wouldn't accept. You may find yourself making excuses for them, dismissing red flags, or bending over backward to accommodate their needs. But when you stop chasing, you start setting boundaries that honor your own time, energy, and emotional well-being. You no longer allow someone to treat you as an option. You make it clear that your time is valuable and that you are not going to chase after anyone who doesn't meet you at the table with respect and genuine effort. Chasing also leads to a lack of balance in the relationship. If one person is constantly chasing the other, there is little room for both people to equally contribute. The person being chased might not even realize the dynamic they are in, but it can create a sense of imbalance where one party feels overwhelmed and the other feels unburdened and mutual respect. Chasing disrupts that balance, leading to feelings of resentment, frustration, and emotional exhaustion. Ultimately, the act of not chasing someone frees you from the emotional cycle of highs and lows that come with constantly seeking validation. When you no longer chase, you start to embrace the idea that relationships should not be a fight for attention or approval. They should be a mutual exchange of respect, care, and effort. You start to appreciate the relationships that are simple, easy, and free of game. You begin to see that genuine connection doesn't come from pursuing someone relentlessly, but from letting things unfold naturally. When someone truly cares, they won't make you chase them. Instead, they'll be right there, matching your energy and meeting you halfway.